I got it.
Absolutely. We'll slide it back.
We're going to try and involve the kids I'm sorry, I shouldn't have laughed, but that was...
Huh? Yeah, because they put it on Facebook. Everybody. Okay. I was like, because they talked about it last week, remember? Or last week. Yeah. So I've done a little bit more research.
Oh, Jenny. That's why I like her. They show you how to take it. That's true.
I bought mine.
Half the time it doesn't work.
Or that, we can see what's up there.
Run for a while and then it quit.
Right.
But the meeting's over. And I asked Junior about it a while back. Back, we're gonna meet, what are we doing?
What is this for?
What's that?
And that White House. In the corner, the blue one on the corner. Yeah. And I spoke with him multiple times.
I did look at this, just a neat.
And they never suspected.
This is when the season starts.
SRO here? Yes.
It's already started. That's when the first
SRO tonight, huh?
here's regional, and then here's MMA state. But it's obviously not the insurance for
Right.
they're looking for next year. But I did some link and look to see what Sharon did because we did 2 million.
Well, that's true. Sorry. Yeah. Just a month late.
Little mind schedule.
School. Okay, we'll do this. You got this 35,000.
So I don't need to say anything then.
I think a little bit of both, maybe.
Last school board. It's expensive to start.
What you could do is you could ask how many are here for softball. And we'll just first how many are for classes.
That's what I need to do.
I can do that if you want.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah, we'll do that. That's what I feel.
We on?
We actually do. It's the rec center. I I checked their specifications on it. And
Okay, it is 5 after, and we need to get going here, so I need to call order the Union County School District Number 1 Board of Trustees School Board meeting, and if everybody will join me, we will say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we got a full house, and I guess if we will, in our agenda, we are going to discuss the girls softball first and then the classics kind of after that. If you guys want to just step out, if you feel a little too claustrophobic, you can do that, but the first on our agenda items, we will be talking about the girls softball and a presentation to begin with, and then the classics after that. So if you guys want to stay in here, that's fine. If you guys want to step out for a minute, then that's fine as well, so.
Welcome.
Welcome. Okay, I need to have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt tonight's agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussions?
I'd like to move to amend the agenda to add a discussion and action item around staff climate survey.
Okay, so you want to add a discussion item then on climate survey.
An action item, yeah.
So that would fall underneath discussions, it would become item E.
Yep.
And it would be the climate survey. Okay. Then also with that, are we looking at doing as an action item tonight or doing it that later? Just a discussion for tonight? Is that what all we're doing to modify the agenda?
I think
I think
it's,
you're just doing to modify the agenda at this point.
Modify the agenda, but modifying the agenda is going to be discussion and action? Or is it just discussion?
Gotcha.
potentially both, depending on the discussion, so.
Well, no,
Yeah,
because if we
yeah.
discuss this, and if you want to go to an
Yeah.
action item, I can't
Yeah,
do the
well, I said
agenda.
discussion and action item,
So you amend it by both?
yeah.
Okay. And that will go down as action item G, climate. Okay. Any other discussion?
Wait, we need a second. I don't think we got a second.
To her amendment.
To the motion,
her
to my
motion.
amendment motion.
I will second it.
Okay. So, okay, she amended it, but there was, so her amendment is the motion?
Yeah.
And then there'll be in a second to it, so,
Yeah, it's not perfect,
okay,
but
okay, all right. So I have a motion and a second to adopt the new agenda, adding E to discussion item is the climate survey, and action item G for the climate survey. Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
I need to have a roll call.
We do.
Okay. Brian?
Nay.
Aye.
Jessica?
Whoa,
Aye.
whoa, 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 slow down a
Oh,
bit.
slow down.
Brian, you were? I was nay.
Nay, okay,
Aye.
okay. John? David?
I'll be a nay.
David?
I'm okay to discuss it. Yay.
Jenny?
Nay.
Dan?
Yay.
Caleb?
Nay.
Janice?
Aye.
5-4.
So
Carries.
adopted? Passed, okay. All right. So we will approve the changes and modifications to the agenda and move forward. Okay. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda items. A, minutes for approval. B, payment of bills. C, approved SPED related service contract.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion?
Dan.
Dan?
Dan.
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself from check 1193.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay. Mr. Thomas. We can move on to our presentations.
We have a girls softball presentation. I'm not sure who is going to lead the charge, but come on down. Introduce yourself.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Emma Barker. I have played baseball up until my 3rd grade year. After that, I have moved on to playing softball. If there's anything I've learned from playing, it's that this is more than just a game. It's memories, friendships, and opportunities. If we don't have a high school team, then this will end after our 7th grade year. I love the game of softball, and I really want to go to college for softball, but that won't be an opportunity if we don't have a high school team. So please give us the chance to wear our school's name and be proud to represent it on the field. Thank you for your time and cooperation.
Thank you.
Anybody put on there?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Jessie Barnes. I am the executive director of what? Oh, my home address?
Yes.
You guys
Let's
just
get your name.
drive by and
We are, right, not.
106 2nd Avenue.
Okay.
Yes. I am the executive director of the Union County Safe Task Force, Sexual Assault Family Violence Task Force. I'm here tonight to support this dream, this team, this athletic at our high school. This is far more than just an athletic decision. It's a critical investment in the safety and confidence and long-term well-being in the young women that you see here tonight. Research shows that girls who participate in sports are 41% more likely to report high self-esteem and experience significantly lower rates of anxiety and depression, and that comes from the Women's Sport Foundation. These benefits matter deeply when we consider that 1 in 3 girls will experience some form of dating violence between age 11 and age 18. And over half of the females report experienced sexual harassment at school before graduation, high school graduation. Team sports create strong peer networks, and they create trusted adult relationships. 2 of the most powerful, proactive factors against isolation, coercion, and unhealthy relationships. When girls have access to a supportive, girl-centered athletic environment, they build assertiveness, boundary-setting skills, and the confidence to recognize and reject harmful behaviors. An all-girls softball team gives them a safe space to grow, compete, and lead without pressure or comparison, while surrounding themselves with mentors who can identify early warning signs of distress. By supporting the team, you are not just supporting a sport, you're supporting and proving strategies to prevent violence against girls. You're improving mental health, and you're empowering our community's girls. You're sending a clear message that our girls do matter. Their safety matters, and their opportunities matter. Together, this is how we, Evanston's community, build strong young women and a stronger school community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Aylin, and some of us have played together since we were little kids, but we don't have the chance to continue playing for our school to get a scholarship for college. But we want to give girls in our school the chance to compete, grow, and make our community proud throughout softball. I want the opportunity to wear our school's name across my jersey and represent the community I'm proud to be part of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Evelyn Schofield, and I want to say that this is more than just a sport to us. It's a place to grow, build confidence, and feel like we belong. I love my softball teammates. They were like a family, and I hope to be able to continue to play with them for many more years. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Journey Trammell. We are asking for the same opportunities that boys and students at other 4A schools already have. We are one of the only 2 4A schools in Wyoming West that doesn't have a girls softball team. We are asking that we can have the opportunity to build more memories with the people that we have played with since we were little kids. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Bella Johnson, and this will be my 3rd year in softball, and hopefully not my last. Softball is more than just a sport. We play with like our teammates since we were little, and I feel like if we have a teammate here at the high school, we'll have more opportunities to go to college. Me, for one, I know plenty others also would like a scholarship for the high school to get a team, and 45% of females in Wyoming can't afford to go to college. So I feel like getting a team with high school would be a great opportunity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'm Oakley Trammell, and softball is something I love, and it hurts knowing that I can't play for my own school like other girls in Wyoming can do. So please consider making a softball league for girls. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Mason Matthews. I've been playing for softball for multiple years, and I'm hoping that this won't be my last. Me and a ton of these girls have played together on the same teams for a long time, and that's why we're asking to please not let another group of girls go through high school without ever having a chance to play for their own school. We're asking not for something extra, but we're asking for an opportunity instead. We want to represent our school and build something meaningful and make our community proud. We hope you will give us this chance to create a high school softball team and make memories that will last forever. Thank you for your time.
Thanks. All right, anything else?
No, I just want to thank these girls for
Yeah.
stepping up the way they did.
Okay.
That's fine.
You do need to give us your name.
Okay, my name is Teelan. I coach for the
Name and address?
Teelan McComber, 138 Silver Sage Drive.
Okay.
I coach for the rec center for the girls softball team, and like Jesse said, that girls with strong self-esteem have a less chance of being victimized from violent relationships, abusive relationships, even from drug addictions, and even child abuse can be detected from a good, strong support system. And that's what I've seen at the younger ages. I coached 3rd to 5th grade last season, and some of these, they went to all different schools, and they came together and they were a team, and they built those connections. And I feel like connections are really important for girls to have. And so to build those connections through high school, through softball, is really important, and we need to give our girls a chance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mackenzie Williams, 316 Gannett Drive. My daughter will be a junior next year. I think she got 2 years, 1 year of slow pitch, 1 year of fast pitch, and then the rec center said because she's going on to freshman year, she couldn't even play that summer. She was heartbroken, and then all she had was volleyball. I coached plenty of these. Emma was probably this big. Kind of a goal for me was to be able to watch her. It was kind of heartbreaking when we moved here to know that there wasn't a softball team. So please consider. I watched this room, I don't know, we had maybe 2 teams in the beginning when I started coaching, and now it's up to, I don't even look at all of them. It's so fun to see all of them. The last year, they were asking for so many coaches, pushed a couple years, but it's just been super fun to watch all these girls grow, and to get it taken away is kind of sad for the community. So, thank you.
Okay, now I want to applaud you girls for standing up. I know it's scary to stand up in front of people like Chairman Peterson with his grumpy face. Yeah, but I do want to applaud you for having the courage to stand up for your beliefs and your passions and addressing this the way you did. So congratulations.
If I could, Chairman Peterson, just a few comments. So we did ask the softball group to come back in March, and at that time we were going to explore the option and talk about it again, provide some numbers so we kind of knew where we're sitting, look at the weather conditions. I don't know who out there elected to have the weather they did, but thank you. It was a great winter, so we appreciate that. And the other issue we had is really there were two. Facilities, weather, but financial is the big one. So if you stick around for a few more minutes, I do have a budget update, and you'll actually be able to see the numbers of why we have concerns and restraints. And so I appreciate what we see, and what I'd like to do, if it's okay, if you're here to support softball, how many of you are seniors? I didn't think a senior would come. No. How many of you are juniors? How about will be juniors? Will be seniors? Stand up if you are. I just want to count you.
Yeah.
Okay. How many of you are sophomores? Will be sophomores next year? One.
Two.
Okay. Two. How many of you will be freshmen next year?
Two.
Okay, three? Okay, four. Okay, how many of you will be eighth graders? Great.
11.
How many of you are going to be...
In the hall.
Are there? Someone tell us how many. Eighth graders, stand up, be proud. Okay, great, thank you. Any seventh graders? Any out in the hall? Okay. Okay, how about lower than sixth graders and lower here in support?
All right.
Great.
6.
Okay. Because that was one of the concerns, is maintaining numbers to have a team. And so typically you are talking a JV varsity team. You don't have to have two, but that's typically what we do. We just started middle school soccer this year. It's the first time for middle school soccer. We had over 40 boys and I think over 30 girls for middle school soccer. So that's been a positive addition. But again, that's kind of the issue that we had and wanted to talk about, is they're going to be competing with each other for numbers, because there's also track. Now there's middle school soccer, high school, you have those options too. So that's one of the things we'll have to take into consideration. This is something that the board would have to discuss probably at their retreat to determine if it's something they'll continue to pursue. Financially, that's the big issue that we have to explore. We're in a kind of undiscovered country with our budget this year. We've had some significant changes. I will talk about them later. That will impact all activities. So stick around. You're welcome to stick around and hear that discussion about where we are with that. But that's kind of where we are with this.
Brian, I didn't catch the numbers. Was there enough for a high school team?
No.
Well, there might be more girls than just
Yes.
here. That, yeah, I mean, that's
Right
just-
here
yeah.
tonight,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
not a...
No.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what we'd do. You'd probably start with a sophomore team or a freshman team. What's that? Yeah, so that's one of the issues we'll have to consider, but resources and finances is the big one. We'll talk about.
If I may,
Yes.
many of us here have daughters.
I've got granddaughters and I've got great-granddaughters. So this has nothing to do with, I mean, I'm just going to lay out the facts. I did a research, and Sheridan, I believe, was one of the last of the 16 teams in Wyoming that have a team. Their school board required the parents to come up with $35,000 in order to start a team. And the school board said that they would commit to half the other $35,000. And they only committed to the softball team for 2 years. They estimated $2,000 to $7,000 a year per player just to go to the games. The games start, practices can begin this year, March 19th. I'm sorry, March 9th is practices. March 19th, the games start. And then the regional tourneys are from May 15th to 16th. May 21st to 23rd is the state tourney. There's a total of 16 high school teams in the state of Wyoming. $2,000 to $7,000, I don't know, for me, that's a lot of money. So the reality is money. Doesn't mean the board's going to say no. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean they're going to say yes. But just like the superintendent said, the reality is funding is a major portion of it, and the reality is it costs a lot of money. The athletic director he's a proponent of this. He said that in this meeting, but the reality is those are the issues. Is who's got the checkbook? So, but I'm all for it. I agree with what you said. I've got plenty of females in my life, and their lives are important to me, and I know it is the others. And sports is a big deal. I know that. I grew up playing sports. My sisters grew up playing sports. It's a positive thing, and I know that. So, but anyway, I just wanted to put a little bit of aspect in that.
If I can, one more comment. One of the things that needs to happen is our legislators need to know that we have programs that we'd like to add instead of programs we have to take away. Our legislator this year are opposed to K-12 activities. They reduced our funding, which I'll talk about later. You need to talk to our legislators, and they need to support what's happening in our schools, not only activities, but everything we do, because that's what we're looking at is significant changes and reductions. So. And I don't think there's probably anybody in this room that doesn't understand the benefit of activities, and we'd love to see every activity that we could possibly have for kids. But again, there are some times where we have to be realistic in what resources we have. Thank you, Chairman. That's all I have.
Okay. All righty, thank you. Can you come up and talk before the board, please? We don't want this getting into something.
Shay McDonald, and my address is 182 Wilderness Point.
I couldn't hear, sorry.
Shay McDonald, 182 Wilderness Point.
Thanks, Shay.
I just wanted to know if we had the option to fundraise to get us started.
That's a very good question. We do have some restrictions to fundraisers. Typically, the way I say the current boards have gone is if there are monies that are required to participate in activity, they should be raised by the student. Community fundraisers, especially $35,000, would be a significant burden to every activity. And so it's probably something would be a violation of our own policies.
So what is the 35,000? What is that number?
That was for Sheridan School District.
Roughly it's
That's what they
$50,000 to
require.
$70,000 to run an activity. And that's on the, I think, the low end.
Well, I spoke to the Green River and Rock Springs coaches, and the lady who got their equipment set up, she said 53,000, and she said 16,000 per season, most of it going to travel. So I'm not sure.
You'd also have expenses for coaches and equipment,
Right.
uniforms, all that. So that's
Yeah, that's good. That's
50 to 70,000, I think, is a low estimate. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. We'll know at the end of the soccer season what it costs to add middle school soccer. So that would help us in that direction. But I think, and not speaking for Mr. Dubois, but it was a creative thing that I think Sheridan must have did to solve a problem with the funding. So I think that's a big burden. I think that's what you said, too. Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Can you please come to the front? I don't want this to come into a screaming match.
Yeah.
If you want to present something to the board, please come forward.
I just want to know how you came up with.
Name,
You got
address.
your name and
Cindy
address?
Albert, 152 County Road.
Okay.
Thanks, Cindy.
How did we come up with the money for the soccer when we've never been able to come up with the money for baseball? This isn't like it's just now happening. This has been ongoing for years.
We budget.
But baseball is never part of it.
Baseball right now, we don't offer. So
I
no,
know,
it's not
but
part of the
We used to
budget.
not offer soccer either.
You're right. And we may not be able to offer soccer next year. So, I mean, those are the things you get into reality of you look at what we've done budgets through the last 14 years and the reductions we've had. We've reduced programs at the high school. We've had to. Sophomore programs, we've had to reduce. We were fortunate to add soccer. And again, if you stick around for the budget discussion, you'll see that we're very committed to activities, K-12. We overspend our budget, what's allotted by the state, significantly. But same as your budget at home, if your budget's cut, you have to make changes, and hard changes. And that's the discussion that this board's responsible for. We'll present to them a budget, and they'll move forward with it in July. But yeah, we have to fund everything K-12, not just the activities. So stick around for the budget discussion. You kind of see some of how that goes together.
Can we, this is supposed to be just a presentation,
Yeah.
okay?
Yes.
If you want to stick around and do this during discussion time, we can do that, but this is moved beyond a presentation. So when we open it up to discussion items, you're more than welcome to stay around and discuss this, but we need to move beyond the presentation part and move forward with our board meeting, so.
Thank you, David.
But thank you so much, and please stay around.
No, you gotta come up here. Come on.
It's Eric Albert, 152 County Road. I just had one question. What if we get a company to sponsor it?
I'd love to see that.
Again, okay.
Because I work for Wyoming Lottery, and I know there's a lot of money that goes in it just out of Evanston.
Yeah. That would have to be a discussion on our financial side. I don't know
And I
where
know-
money's mingled, where they come from.
Would they be willing to maintain that for years?
I don't-
commit to
That's
that.
what I was asking, if that was something that went against like
Find
the
out about it.
school. Or, because I know the company that owns the
Yeah.
lottery, they sponsor teams in like Georgia and down
Yeah.
south.
Oh, yeah.
So that was just,
And that's the long-term commitment, right? If we open this up and we do this, and if somebody steps away from that commitment, then we are
Right.
fully responsible
Because of the
for
kids we've
funding this. So,
I just wanted to make sure it was okay before I went and asked them if that
Come to
was
us with
something
a
they.
proposal.
Business is a business is a business.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay,
Thanks.
moving on.
Good question.
okay.
No.
No,
Ah, come on.
okay, now,
No,
with
no.
the presentations, just give me a minute, we'll be in discussion in just a minute, and you can come forward, please, okay? All right, thank you. That's what I was worried about, this going a completely different direction than this was supposed to be a presentation. If we want to do it during discussion time, then please come forward, but we need to move forward with that, so. We done with the presentation then?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
we're done.
Now,
Moving on to,
now we can
I
move
think you
on
just
to.
made that choice.
So now, we can move on to, well, that would be in public comments, though.
wood. So it'll be a while.
It would be a while. So I will be, go ahead, this will be the last. So please come up, name, and then we will move on.
Megan Matthews, 3959 Alley Road 107. My question is, what do we do now? Like, I'm part of the mom group that came in the fall. We did the presentation in the fall. We had a 45-minute conversation. You said, come back. We came back. I just want to know what we could do now.
Yeah.
So
And
like,
we-
I don't want to stay and stick around and have any more conversations. Just like, let us know what we as parents need to do.
What we need to find out is what our budget's going to be, and that's what's going to happen with Mr. Thomas. Our legislative body has decided to alter our budgets from the past, and there's going to be significant changes, and one of those changes is coming to activities that they've hit, and they've hit hard. And so
So I just like, so
So-
do we just
sorry.
wait for you guys to contact us? Like, what do we, that's all I'm
Chairman
asking.
Peterson, what I recommended is anything that's new typically comes through the board retreat, which occurs usually in July. That's where they set their agenda, the strategic plan to develop everything for the next school year. That is when a decision would either have to be made, yeah, we're going to continue pursuing softball, or we're not for now.
So like, do we need to come back to another board meeting? Like one parent,
No.
a whole room full of people
What would,
again?
what
Like,
would, Meg, what would really be nice if we had numbers? And that was what we asked.
we came with numbers in the fall though.
But we asked that we look at numbers now. I mean, they need to know if we can sustain a team. So we need to know the numbers. And not just, we need to know individuals that are interested in playing. And those numbers we need.
So we had
It's
a
critical.
petition signed with everybody. We did a survey. That's what, I just don't know what else we need to do.
Well, the Sheridan parents went before the school board and came up with some specific numbers. Then the school board discussed it, and they made
We
the
did that in the
decisions.
fall. Am I wrong? I mean, am I wrong? We
I don't-
had 100 responses from our survey.
But we didn't have any dollar figures, did we?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like we already did the presentation, and all you guys said was like, we love the idea, we would love to do it. Come back in the spring when the weather's bad, because that was the biggest concern, was the weather. You said, come back March 8th, that was the exact date, we're back, and I just am asking like what we need to do.
So from that point to this point, what happened is the legislation.
Right.
And that was the
there's,
concern, is we needed to see what happened to with our
we have
legislation.
to our budget. So the other thing is, don't think that we sit idly by, and please do not think that we are anti-softball.
No, I know that.
There's no way.
You guys said
We
go on
have-
board, we just don't know what we
We
need to
have
do.
laid out the fields. We had turf field come up. We went down and we walked through 2 or 3 different areas, looked at putting artificial turf in. We laid it out. They gave us different conceptions of putting softball fields out there. We have not sat idly by, but the thing that has been scary for the past couple of months is we have no idea where we're at budget-wise. None.
The
You know,
budget,
it's,
the budget's set
Now.
on the third Wednesday in July.
yeah.
And if that's a priority for the board, they can begin those discussions. So in July is when they establish their priorities moving forward.
Okay, so, sorry, just one more time, what do we need to do in July? Anything, or do we just wait till you guys reach out to us? Do we need to reach out to you again? Like, what do we, that's what I'm asking. Like, because we have a group message of all the moms, and we just need to know what we need to do.
I don't think you need to do anything. I would love to see better numbers, because like I said, you have to have the numbers that can sustain a team. Because we certainly couldn't start with the varsity team with these numbers unless there's significantly more.
So how would you like us to present the numbers? Like written statement from
Name.
every? Name?
Name,
names?
address,
Okay.
grade.
Name, address, and grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be a commitment, just that they are interested in playing
Last
softball.
year's juniors, we didn't even have any.
No, there was a couple of juniors. No seniors, yeah, but you would
That's the
have
thing,
seniors
we
there.
need, in order to field a varsity and a JV team, we have to have certain numbers, and it certainly didn't show at the high school level, JV and varsity.
Not yet. They'll come, but they're.
Right,
So
but
that's
it's
what we
hard to
need.
get girls to commit when there's no program, like, we don't have.
Well,
If they know, I mean, we'll get the number, we can try to get the numbers, it's just hard for girls to say like, yeah, I wanna play softball when they don't know if they can play softball, so they go a different route.
And I also think, and again, maybe it's not my place, but this sounds like this is a community issue. We have a rec center. I think you need to approach them and say, we need to have 9th grade age fast pitch.
We've talked about it, we can't because there's nobody to compete with, because all the teams in Utah have high school teams. We presented that in the fall as well. So I'm not trying to, I'm just asking like what else.
No,
we
I
need to
understand, but you see the predicament is the board commits to a team which we can't staff right now.
I have a
Okay,
question.
we need to move on with the agenda. So this is the last comment, I appreciate that. We need to move on to our presentation, well, our discussion items, and then if you want to stick around for the public comments, then please do so. But this is gone on a little bit long, and that's why I wanted people to come forward instead of it just becoming a come up and a public discussion, comment section, but that's not now. So we need to, but thank you so much. I appreciate it. But we need to move on. We need to move on to our discussion items because we have a group full of young women to discuss drill team too, so.
Chairman Peterson would like to invite the EHS Classics to come down.
Okay.
Good evening, Chairman Peterson, members of the board. I'm sorry we don't have our full team here tonight, but we are coming back just to formally follow up from the discussion that we had from the March board meeting in regards to our team's opportunity to attend nationals. I have submitted some possible dates as well as costs associated with the different nationals competitions to Mr. Kohler and Superintendent Thomas, and so we are just here to see what your thoughts are with those dates and those proposals submitted. This is part of a small portion of the group of girls that would be attending that nationals trip. Again, none of them having done so before, so a new opportunity for them. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, or if you want to hear from the girls, I'm happy to turn the mic over to them as well.
So Candace, you haven't selected a date yet? You don't know?
So the concern about the date is the dates aren't out yet.
Okay.
Registration for these competitions do not open until August. That's the soonest I can register for them, as well as solidify the cost of those. The only problem is waiting till August, then there's not much time to get the funds
Sure.
together to attend the competitions.
And you're just going to attend one competition?
Yes, it's just
Okay.
one. We're a Division II based off of our student count, and there's 2 different competitions that we can attend. When I talked to Mr. Kohler about this, one does fall over a holiday, so it's less time out of school. If we do choose to do the NDA National Championship, the other UDA National Dance Championship is right after our state competition. The other problem is our state competition hasn't been published either. So we're kind of in this waiting game of seeing when those dates are solidified to what competition we can go to. But again, we can't even register until August.
How much funds do you guys have available right now?
We won't be using any fundraising. It will be individually.
I mean, how much funds do you have available right now?
To go towards it.
Yeah.
We won't be using any of our budget to go towards that. It's going to be
So-
paid for out of pocket by each.
Separate, okay.
Yes.
And I know they talked about 3-4 days maximum being out of school.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. The competition itself lasts 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
but then you have to allow time for travel. But it goes usually over the weekend. There's time there.
Yeah. Do you know the venues where they're physically at?
I believe both of the ones that they gave me were in Florida. Yeah, both of them in Orlando. Again, there's other competitions that you could go to, but they're not as nationally accredited. It kind of takes out. The reason why, again, we wanted to do this is because the state of Wyoming has moved to UDA, UCA judging. We pay a lot of money for choreography, a lot of money to cut music and costumes, where we're just going right now just to do one competition in Utah if they'll let us in, but we're just trying to get more for it, get our name out there. We're following every year. We're in that runner-up position. We're close to for state championship. The time and the effort that these girls are putting in every single morning for 8-9 months at a time. I'm trying to get them more opportunities.
Ladies, do you have any comments?
So, my name's Torrance Walker, 836 Summit Street.
Thank you.
I'm going to be a senior this year, This has been my 4th year on the team, and it used to be something like nationals that they did every 4 years, and I know it was something that especially my grade has looked forward to. We spend 5:30 to 7 a.m. every day of the school year working on these dances and perfecting it, and we all have requirements for school. We do all these things to keep ourselves well-rounded, but dance is something that we put so much time and effort into that it's really sad to just have state and then it's all over. And the talent on this team is just like getting higher and higher every year. And I really think the opportunity to showcase all of our hard work at a higher level would be really beneficial, especially for the younger girls coming in, so that they can really see like how much is out there and all these opportunities that do exist. But even if it's not something that we can implement like constantly, I think like once every 4 years would be like such a great thing for this team to have. And like Candace said, we've been, like every year that I've been on the team, we've been in the top 3 in state for both of our dances. So we've been performing highly and doing well, but this would also push us to do even better. So I think our state results would also reflect that. But yeah, I just really appreciate the opportunity to participate in a higher level event with this team that I spend so much time and energy working with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bailey Wright. Do I have to say my address?
Yep. Sure.
Okay, 208 Cherokee Court. Along with what Tori said, a part she left out is we also do summer practices. In the summer, we practice from 6 to 8 a.m. and we also do additional Saturday practices, which are typically 3 hours sometimes. So that just like shows how much work we put into dance because we're all passionate, we all love it, and to have another competition on top of state would help us get extra feedback so that we can like know that what the time we spent working, like we're getting something out of it. Like, wait, sorry, I'm trying to make sense. Sorry. So an additional like competition would give us feedback so that we can work on our dances even more to make it even like more ready for state, because a lot of the people we compete at with state, they go to other competitions before us and even after us. They get the feedback for us, so they're more prepared, I guess. And so we only go off of like Candace's feedback, which is good, but to have additional feedback from judges that are judges at state would help us immensely at state competitions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
When's the last time?
That's fine.
Didn't you go 3-4 years ago?
We went my first year, so I'm going on year 5 coaching. So none of these girls had the
No,
opportunity.
but the last time was 3-4 years ago?
It will
Went
be-
to Florida?
Yeah, it'll be 5 years,
5 years. Oh, okay.
in February.
So how many are you planning on taking?
We have 22 on our team this year. And the
all
goal
of
is
them
to
are-
take all 22.
It's gonna cost each one of them X amount of dollars to get there.
Yes,
But
15.
this isn't every year, it's gonna be,
Yeah. I
Are you
would
looking
like
at
the
every year?
nationals part, or not the nationals, the regional part, I think should be an every year thing to get us prepared for that, which we talked about the last board meeting. It didn't sound like that was much of an issue, but this nationals trip, I know you guys don't like it, and I know we have to draw the line somewhere, and I get that, but we look at other clubs and organizations that are going to these national trips, same place every single year. I think a team that is putting in as much time and effort and representing the way that we are, I don't think once every 4 years is a lot to ask. When their parents are
you're looking
funding
at once
it.
every 4 years. Is that what you're looking at?
For nationals.
For nationals.
Yeah, nationals.
So
Yeah.
what are, because you mentioned that all these other teams are being judged, so they're going to different competitions.
They're-
So what other competitions are these other teams going to be judged? Where's, yeah, regionals, so where's,
That's the one in Denver.
but you chose not to go to Denver.
No, that's last board meeting, that's the one I wanted to go to in November in Denver is a regional competition.
This year.
But then I piggybacked off of that about attending nationals this year because we'll be the first in the last 5. And it sounded, I was under the impression for regionals that was something that, because transportation, it was part of a school activity, we wouldn't be missing those designated school days. Maybe I got the wrong impression there, but my understanding was regionals was not the big one. It was this nationals that I needed to come back for dates and.
Yeah, regionals, because it's in Denver, is still within the policy where you'd have to get board approval.
Okay.
It's an overnight trip?
It would be.
Yeah, so you'd have to get that approved too. And funding for that would be,
It's all of the other schools that go to, It's state approved through the transportation department. It's
So the
reimbursed.
transportation reimburses?
It's reimbursed.
We like that.
Yeah. And those fees, the fees for regionals, that would not be an extra cost to the girls. That would come out of our booster, which there's funds there to pay for.
Okay, all right. And what are the dates? Do you have dates in November yet?
It's usually the week before Thanksgiving. But
Oh.
again, nothing comes out till August.
That still is up in the air until August?
Yeah.
Okay.
So regionals is not a pre-qualifier for nationals.
It is not.
So nationals is.
But it's a preparation
Let me take that back. If you don't attend a camp in the summer where you qualify, so this last summer, we attended an NDA camp where we qualified for nationals. We could have gone to nationals straight away. If we don't attend one of those camps, then you have to qualify at a regional competition to attend nationals.
Okay.
We already are scheduled for the camp this summer. They'll go to that in the end of June. And then regionals, hopefully in November, a competition in Utah, maybe 2 in December and January, state in January, nationals in February.
Yeah, what I would recommend about the regional thing is just submit a trip request form and take care of that.
Also, another thing I wanted to mention is that we do have like grade requirements for being on the team, and so I definitely understand that like missing school can be an issue, but I think our team has consistently proved that we're capable of like pushing through like kind of like the barriers of missing school, and we would be willing to put in like all the work we have to do to stay on top of those things, even if we're missing additional time for going to dance. And also, yeah, like we just put so much time into this. I think some people don't really understand like exactly how much time we spend at dance, because I spend more time with these girls than I spend like with my family.
Yeah.
Especially during state, we have morning practices and afternoon practices and Saturday practices and all day practices. Like it's just so much, and being able to showcase that would be like a really good step to move forward and keep progressing as a team.
Well, I can't speak for what the board's going to say, but I can tell you that I have an ally in me, and that is because I believe that some of these opportunities like you're discussing provide education and experience that can't be had within the confines of the city limits of Evanston, Wyoming. And so, like I said, I can't speak for the board, but I certainly appreciate what you're saying, and I understand where you're coming from, and I sympathize.
And it is an action item later.
Yeah.
And it is a exception to policy that the board's making, but that's what the board can do and has to do, not anyone else. So that's what they're really voting on, is an exception to their own policy.
And so you girls know, your coach has been here several times, and she has talked to us about your grades, not by name, but what you do and your level of commitment to your education. She has been here, and it's, I know you guys appreciate her. But we appreciate the fact that she came here and expressed all of that as well. So all of the things you're doing, we very well know exactly how great people you are, and great students and great athletes. We know that.
And I do apologize because we won't, well, I speak for myself. We have prom practice at 7
Yes.
that I'm instructing along with my juniors, and they have ballet class at 7:15 that they have to attend. So we will not be here for that action item, no pressure. But just so you're aware when we sneak out.
So I guess is the action item for both trips, or is it
No,
just for the one?
I asked her to submit another request for regionals.
Okay. So it will be voted, the action item will be for
This one's for
Florida.
nationals.
This one's for nationals, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, my assumption is if you approve the national one, the regional one's probably a breeze. So we'll just see how it goes and then go from there.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll let you get on your way. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, ladies.
Enjoy prom practice and what was it?
Ballet.
Okay, discussion items, budget update.
I still can't read that down.
I gotta turn some,
better on here.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, appreciate this opportunity. We've been, and by we, I think it's the administrative team, but especially John, have been putting a great deal of time into our budget and kind of where we sit. Probably because it's unique. It's much different than we've seen in the past because of the instructional silos that we have. Just a quick reminder, this is a representation of the funding formula, the block grant you hear about so much, and the key is this: school resources plus district resources equal base resources. And then base resources are multiplied by regional cost adjustment and external cost adjustment, which is cost of living increase, which we do not get this year. Reimbursements, which are special education, transportation, and this produces our foundation guarantee. Makes it look pretty easy, but it's anything but easy. This year, I've probably spent more time talking about budgets, talking about finances because of recalibration. Communicating with our staff, communicating with our legislators, doing my best to lobby in support of what we think is important. And it's been a little bit frustrating. Let me get to... Maybe. I gave you a copy of this document. It's on your desk. I apologize for its size, but this is the same document that I've used to talk to our legislators, to talk to our school staff, to talk to our parents. The difference with this is specific to us. When I talked in front of the board before and to parents and to the staff, it was the whole state resources. This is specific to us. And you can see, and I'll make it a little larger, I think I can do that. And I hope you can follow along. You can see better here than I think in others. This first section here represents the current funding model that we're in right now. This section here represents the one that's being proposed through recalibration. The important part are all these little colors to the far side, because this is the differences. It is quite complex and a little bit frustrating, I'll be honest with you, because two reasons. They threw so much money at the funding model this year. We're actually going to be in a good place this year and maybe next year. But in the future, I think there are some things that really put us in jeopardy that we need to continue to work on. Remember, one of the 8 school districts and WUA that sued the state. I think this has made it worse. Bottom line is, it needs to be cost-based. This is far from being cost-based. So I'll try to show you some specifics. Are you okay if I enlarge it a couple more times? Because it's really at the end that's important. So you can see here, district level resources. Remember the chart? School resources, district resources equal base resources. So basically this is half of our funding model. So these are the district resources, not all of them, but the ones that matter. Central office and library, so it's professional, clerical, and non-professional staff, all of them. Operations and maintenance, which are custodians, maintenance workers, groundkeepers, anything to do with our supplies, utilities, and there's some other things in there, but it's not all of the categories, and you'll see that rather quickly when we start talking about this. But district resources are truly our operational budgets, everything to do with that, the 15%, but it also is a proportion of our staff. So staffing plus our operational budgets. First thing I want to show you is if you come across here, you can see that I took current year funding is $10 million. Next year, funding for district resources is predicted to be $8.25 million. So if you look at the categories, can you guys see those?
Kind of.
Do you want me to go one larger?
Maybe two.
3, 4.
Yeah, you can go quite a bit larger.
Okay. And we'll look at the red here, and we can still see. So if you look, that's a reduction of $2.2 million, which is a 21% reduction in our district resources, made through changes to recalibration. It's a reduction of central office staff, which includes maintenance, of 4.65 FTE. You can see that right here. That's a change of 7%, which is a reduction of 1.9 million, or a 23.9% reduction. You come across here, you can see clerical, which is secretary, non-personnel, kind of depends the category, and there are other categories in there which, when put together, it ends up being a positive, but the overall impact to district level resources is a significant reduction for us.
Is that 3.2 million?
It's this one right here. This is the overall reduction. After everything in the district resources are considered, we lose $1.0 million, which is a negative 3.6% decrease. What happened is when they changed the model, class sizes, and we tried to explain this, when you change class sizes, you change all the multipliers in the model, not just the size of a specific classroom. Remember, this is a funding model. This has nothing to do with our staffing, but it uses the term FTE, or teacher equivalents, full-time equivalents. But that's how we're resourced. That's where we get our money. So a reduction of 4.65 FTE doesn't mean we're going to cut 4.65 positions. We're funded for 4.65 positions less next year than we are this year. That's what's critical, not now, but moving forward. And this is just district resources. Notice all the red. I spent some time with our legislators. They're very, I think, pleased with the amount of money that went to education. $125 million statewide. Over 2 years, that's $250 million. So they put a lot of money into this, but at the same time, I think they've made our situation even more dire for the future. So the next category, let me go down. This is where we get into the screwy part. School level resources. Notice that it's a reduction of let me see if I can slide that over. So from 28 million to 27 million are a reduction. But what is critical is if you look in the categories, this orange represents the silo that they created. So the funds in that silo can only be used for those positions. So they took roughly $17 million and siloed it. So it doesn't really help all the other positions that we have in the district. Where it kind of hits the road is right here. Notice regular classroom and core teachers is a reduction in FTE of 18 full-time equivalents. So if we had to follow the model in terms of a staffing model, we would be expected to cut 18 positions K-12. It'd be 9 through K-5 and 9 through 6-12. Again, this is a funding model, not a staffing model. We determine the staffing in our own district, but we're resourced for 18 less teachers. We're not reducing 18 teachers, so how in the world can this be cost-based? It's not. If you look at the 4.2 that you see right here, that is specialists, our elective teachers, a reduction of 4.2 FTE, or $657,000. Additional CTE teachers, we about broke even, but still a percentage decrease. These blue areas through here, the next 4, really don't impact us. Minimum teachers, these are small school minimum teachers expectations, alternative schools, small school teachers, and small district teachers. Why that's important is a small district with, let's say, 100 kids, K-12, they get a certain number of teachers guaranteed. So That's in the model. It's always been funded that way. If you recall, at first, it was very negative to them. They made some changes, so now it's at least positive, but that doesn't impact us. These next categories are the things that I've been talking about very loudly. This one right here, line 49, instructional facilitators. Notice it's an increase of 8.3 FTE. We don't use instructional facilitators. We haven't followed that model in 7 or 8 years. But again, it's in the silo. The good news to that is that's money that we can use for the other positions. So if you look at that one with instructional facilitators, and maybe I need to clarify, the reason why we don't use instructional facilitators as a category in their own, our expectation is that we have instructional facilitators at every building. They're called principals. They're the instructional leaders. And we have funds available for the federal government for staff development, Title II funds. Significant dollars. We bring people into our schools. We don't send our teachers out as much as we used to. We bring the talent in and teach all of our teachers. Also, the idea of PLCs, professional learning communities that we follow, that's another way that we improve our instruction on a day-to-day basis. So, instructional facilitators is an increase of 8 FTEs. This is the killer one. Summer school and extended day teachers is an increase of 17.28. We already have a robust summer school. We don't need additional summer school teachers. We already have a robust after-school program that's partially funded through federal funds. That is $1.33 million. And then the next one is tutors. These are certified positions. We have built our tutoring into the daily schedule. Students receive remediation and enrichment through their win time, Red Devil Pride time. It's already built in the schedule. To me, what the state did is they took money from our classrooms and put it into these special teachers and then threw a ton of money at it. So it looks like in the state you're saying, well, we are getting additional money. And I'll be real honest, we do have funds to provide an increase, large salary increase. But again, this silo can only be used for those specific positions. So we don't have flexibility to pay all the people that are in the district resources out of that silo. They have told you how they'll spend the state money. Is really what it goes out to. So if you keep going down, this is part of the discussion I was talking about. You can see lots of red. Substitute teachers, nurses, guidance counselors, people support, librarians. Start getting into the red back here. Percentage increases in FTEs. 3.58 aides, principals. There's a reduction in FTEs there. Assistant principals, alternative school principals, small school assistant principals, which doesn't impact us, secretarial staff, clerical staff. You can see that there are significant changes to the model when they change the class sizes. So we do have funds available for our teachers, but for operational accounts, we are fortunate that the RCA, remember how the RCA impacts, went up. We get a 9% increase, which we've never had before because of an RCA. Without that, we'd be screaming poverty. But because of that, because we already fund nurses, because we already fund elementary counselors, and because of the funds that came in with the middle school specialists, we do have funds this year to pay other staff members that are not in the silo. If the state would have just taken those 3 categories, facilitators, summer school, and tutors, and left it in the classroom teachers, I would have probably recommended we pull out of the lawsuit because they are funding us. But now they are, the way that our funds are resourced, they've cut. The most significant is classroom teachers. Makes no sense. And how is that cost-based? Okay? Now let me keep going. It doesn't get any better. These next categories down here at the bottom, you can see these are non-staff costs. These are funded per student. So gifted and talented, professional development, supplies and materials, formative assessments, equipment, technology, and extra duty student activities. If you look at the student activities, notice this is the budget they're being proposed is $985,000. This is our current budget. Where's that at? $1.2 million. So roughly a $252,000 cut in activities. But there are two departments that we subsidize because of our commitment. One is food service and one is activities. Our actual expenditure in activities is $1.6 million this year. So we have to find over $600,000 in order to fund what we offer now.
There's no guarantee that that'll be the same cost next year. It's going to be more.
Go up.
Now, they funded this same model next year, but I guarantee it where they're going to change this, I can't guarantee it, but they're going to come back and say you don't need summer school teachers, you don't need instructional facilitators, you don't need tutors. That money will be gone. And that's our buffer.
Yeah.
And then we are in trouble because they have reduced our FTEs by 18 for classroom teachers. We have no plan, and we'll continue budgeting until July, to reduce programs. But we're going to have to be fiscally responsible, probably better than we ever have in our activities department, which may mean less equipment. They may have to hold off on uniforms. We may not be able to go to certain events that we've gone to in the past. Our expenses for activities, and now I'm talking athletics, our travel's reimbursed, but it's hotel costs, which you guys know we have to spend, and coaches. And then when we offer a tournament here, no one pays us for that. We pay for those tournaments. Good for our kids. That's why we supplement activities. Activities are not just athletics. Those are K-12. Everything that we do dealing with activities, kindergarten through 12th grade, not just athletics. Athletics is a part of that. So if we couldn't pull this off and had to reduce $600,000, you're talking programs. You're talking music. You're talking art. You're talking all those extras that the activity budget pays for. So kind of scary. So the idea that we added soccer may have been ill-timed. We're going to do everything we can to maintain that program just because of the number of kids involved. But it is, I think it's scary for the future. Next year, they've already said they've already approved $125 million for next year too. Next year it's just status quo.
Yeah.
That's not additional money. Without a cost of living increase or something to do with insurance, we're looking for another $1.5 million to fund our salary schedules and pay for our employees' insurance. I do think, in terms of an overall position with the lawsuit, I think the legislators really stepped in it. We're not changing what we do. Activities is a perfect example. Right now, we spend $1.2 million. You're going to give us $985,000. We haven't changed anything. How can that be cost-based? They added shot clocks, $15,000 a school, unfunded mandate. We will have shot clocks next year in basketball.
Yeah.
We don't have an option. I guess we could have said just at the high school, but both of our middle schools have shot clocks, so we can do what we do with that. But it is a little ominous when you just look at this side of this spreadsheet and you see all the areas that we've been reduced. Again, we are fortunate that we have John, that he can look at these budgets, work with the state, get some inside information. We will do everything we can to spend the money in the silo. You can see right, where's that at? It's roughly $17 million in that silo where our hands are tied how we spend it. If you come down to the bottom, you can see that activities is a 20% reduction in the budget. So I know a lot of people think we spend way too much money on activities. Well, we're going to spend a lot less because that's a 20% cut. Overall, it's a $3.2 million reduction, but then when you look at the reimbursables, they did not touch special ed, they did not touch transportation. So we're 100% reimbursed for those individuals. So bus drivers, special education teachers are really in a good position right now. They didn't go after them this year, they'll go after them in the future, I think. Again, I hate to be negative, but I see that happening. So they were left alone. You can look at our overall budget minus those reimbursements is roughly $40 million. Another scary thing is how they've handled health insurance. This year, you know that they went on a direct, they're going to reimburse us for our health insurance costs, but they have maximums. The amount we spend on our family insurance is under the maximum. So we will receive about $300 a month for everyone that is on family insurance, less than we need to. In other words, we're not going to be reimbursed the full amount because they reimburse us at the state amount. Singles are reimbursed at a higher amount, so we're actually going to make some adjustments on how we do that so we can get the maximum amount of reimbursement from the state.
So our insurance is no longer a block grant?
No, it's 100% reimbursed. So we're not really sure how that will impact us. You can see that what they did is they took this number, this $4.8 million, and purposely slid it in a district resource. So it made it go blue. But it's a reimbursement. So in other words, the spreadsheet you'll see from the state doesn't look like this. But overall, that's what they've done. Even with all that said, that's a 4.17% increase in our funding. Where we are as we get to that point, we start negotiations, we will have funds for our employees to get a raise. And I think it'll be significant. Stay tuned. We'll give you more information next board meeting where we are with that. But at the same time, we're precarious with our operating budgets. We'll use every cent available for those. We will leave money on the table in the silo. We can't spend it all because you can't give those individuals in the silo more of a raise than those outside of the silo. We wouldn't be operating very long if we said the classroom teachers will get this much, our instructional aides will get this much. If you're in maintenance or you're an administrator, you don't get that much. That's just not the way we work. So we'll leave some money on the table, and that's why I made the point. If they wouldn't have created the silo, which they could have gotten rid of, there were several amendments that got rid of it, they didn't vote for it, we would be able to pay our teachers more. Even reducing activities, even reducing the amount of money we get from interest. They did all those things which impacted us. The most positive thing for us was the RCA. Hopefully they don't adjust that again and we can keep that. But that's kind of where we are with budget. It is kind of undiscovered country. We've never been through a situation with silos. We will have to track the unspent silo amount and use it in the future within that silo. What I see is the longer we have that, the problematic that's going to be. As long as we can't spend that money in other areas, it's going to be problematic year after year in the future.
How often can you carry that over?
I think as long as you want. I think. No? One of the things when they pass these silos, they also pass certain accounts you could put that money into. We're not going to use those accounts, but I'll let John explain that.
Okay. Let me... Is this on?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, let me also explain kind of what you're seeing, okay? I have been tracking for the last 10 years how the model has been funded. And so what this model is doing is tracking it over time, being consistent. Okay? And so there was an important point that Superintendent Thomas made, and that is the health insurance additional funding that was on the bottom. We go down to, BE 81 on there. The state did a calculation, and they're saying, hey, look, we're going to reimburse you at cost for your insurance. And they pulled it from all of the different spots in years past. And so that I'm being consistent, I did not feel like it was it's like all of a sudden you've got $4 million that's showing up in district funds. And by the way, that makes the district funds look positive. And so that's why it went down to the bottom. Now, there is a $17.9 million silo. And what we are doing right now is trying to calculate all of the potential costs that we can go to put it towards that silo. And I was in a meeting last week, and one of the things that we discussed was the idea of what goes into the silo and what does not. And for instance, substitute teachers, they're not calculated as part of the silo, but they will be counted as we use them. So that's actually a good thing. Now, the board and recommendation from administration will be, do we set up instructional reserve accounts? We will need to, and the state is, WDE will be calculating how we met that target of $17.9 million. Were we under by, $1 million or less? Right now, if we spend everything that I think we can spend, we would be about $300,000 under, which is, it's close, but But again, do you spend every last cent? And usually you kind of, in budgeting, you kind of look for, okay, we think this will happen. So that may be something. But we will get that number from the state, much like the pre-97 number that we had of fund balance. We track it. We don't put it on our books, but we track it. And we think we'll do the same thing. We will track it. As Superintendent Thomas was saying, what happens at the next year? And you're 300,000. Now that's 600,000 or whatever. It's $1 million. That's the problem that I'm kind of going, well, okay, but what happens with that? And so we're working on some first in, first out. That's jargon for, sorry. How we'll go about using that money in the future and things. So we've got to both protect, and I see why the legislature, they're trying to protect instruction. I think that's the thing that Superintendent Thomas has said. We protect instruction first. But we also have to look at the big picture as a whole and things. So do you have any questions about this spreadsheet? It is tracking literally 12 years of model changes. You're only seeing the last 2. That's what this is about. It's just, okay, so they gave us money for this year, they gave us money for this year. What's the change? And we've got to be consistent. And with a new model, what I think has happened is you've got some playing of things. And absolutely, the biggest thing I see is reduction in classroom instruction, either regular instruction or the specialists, and you've got an increase in summer school and after-school instruction and instruction facilitators. And so like Superintendent Thomas said, we are looking at, are there other things that we can count as an instructional facilitator time?
the true benefit of a block grant, which this is supposed to be, is a $40 million entitlement. We could put the money where we felt it needed. We were resourced through the model, but if we didn't have those model components, we chose what we did differently. And we've gone through those before, as you know, what we've done differently. This year, we're fortunate because we were already paying for nurses. We were already paying for elementary counselors. So that money comes to us and is good. We're already paying for summer school, so that money comes to us. But almost $18 million out of the block grant that we cannot decide where it goes. They've taken that responsibility. So this is the problem for me, is we're going to end up giving a large increase to our staff, which is where the intent is supposed to go to our staff. And financially, we'll be sound this year. There are still so many unknowns with this. If the lawsuit comes through, the first thing is they're going to find that the silos are not cost-based. That is not, even the consultant said, don't put it in silos. We have to get that changed through legislation in the future, or we are going to have some significant, we'll have money in certain accounts and not in the others. They gave us money, and then they took it away in other areas. Their whole point of looking at an average teacher salary of $74,000 is where the money came from. For us, it came through the RCA. That's a good thing, to say that the average teacher salary should be $74,000, because it's a significant increase. And John and I are committed to move our teacher average salary as close to that as possible, at the same time improving the position for support staff, administration, and every other employee in the district. And we think we can do that. So that's the woe, is they really kind of messed us over, but at the same time they put enough money into it, we're going to be okay. The good news is we are going to be okay. The good news is other districts are not, and maybe they'll sue the state. So there's going to be a lot of impact from other individuals about this silo and how it's negatively impacted them. We're not going to be by ourselves.
So can you do me a real quick favor? In lame terms, explain the different buckets of money and why they can be used for certain things and not for other things. Because you look at this and you're saying, okay, there's $40 million. Why can't we move that and shuffle that around to go into other programs, especially when we start talking about the hit we're going to have to our activities? And so so if you can just explain that real quick.
So one of the final recommendations of Larry Pikus, who was the main consultant, was leave the block grant alone. And the idea is that the money, this is a funding model, not a staffing model, okay? But we do use that as guidance. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you kind of, we hire one superintendent. We don't, we hire 7 principals and an assistant principal or alternative principal and things. We follow that pretty much. But what the silo did was it said, okay, here's the amount that's funded, and you've got to spend that amount in there. The challenge is that really it's the summer school. I mean, that's saying you're going to hire 17.28 full-time teachers, not summer school teachers, the equivalent of 17 full-time teachers to do summer school and after-school programs. Well, at the same time, you cut 18 regular teachers. So it just, to me, as I look at it, I go, okay, net those together, and guess what? It's just kind of a push. And you see that it's negative $2 million, $2.682 million in regular classroom teachers. And then you've got an increase of 1.33 and 600,000 and 578,000. You see those numbers. Add those together, okay? So it's a little bit of a shifting of things. It makes it a little bit harder, and I've been working with what's called School Finance Data Advisory to make this so that it's as painless as possible. We could do a query report to kind of figure out who has made the silo, who has not. And I'm not wanting to put any more money into district resources than instruction, but it makes it just, it ties my hands just a little bit, and that's the part where I'm going, okay.
Yeah, so if you look at the big picture, and we always use these terms, out of the $40 million guarantee, 85% of that goes to salaries and benefits. What they've done is they've taken that 85% and taken a portion of it, $18 million, and said you can only use it for these positions. We've always had the 85% to use for all of our employees, from custodians to secretaries, to teachers, to administrators, to bus drivers, to maintenance guys, and now our hands are tied. And this is the list right here. So if you added this column up, that's almost $18 million. You can see where we can spend our money. There's not a lot. It is instruction. So if you think of what deals with instruction, it's your classroom teachers, it's your instructional aides. We don't have to worry about special ed teachers and paraprofessionals because they're reimbursed. They're in a different pot of money. But roughly we have 277 certified teachers. And then we have 277 support staff. And a large percentage of those are outside of the silo. We have 18.5 administrators outside of the silo. So our task, and we've talked about this before, is to find a way that we can fund them from silo funds. So, and we are doing those things. We're working with every school district to see, of course, number one, what is legal and what we can do, but at the same time, it's a game we've been forced to play. That didn't need to be there. But the biggest challenge I see is when we talk about the increases to salaries and still we're disappointed in the funding model. That's because I think some school districts and some people will say, hey, we're good with it. Look at the increase we got. No, this is the future of education. You can't fund 18 less teaching positions and us be okay with it. That is really the key. Because then they're going to come from those other areas that are funding us. Basically, summer school, instructional facilitators, and tutors are funding all of that $18 million, basically. Little bit scary. That's the increase. That's new, not cut dollars. So that's the difference. We still have a block grant, but $18 million we cannot touch. We cannot move from that silo into areas where we feel we need. Activities, extra teaching positions, the specialty programs we offer in our elementary, music, art, science, which are not funded in the model. We choose to pay for it out of the block grant. Our community, I think, and I would say demands, but their expectation that we provide music K-5, that we provide art, that we provide science. Those are things that are not funded in the model that we choose as a district to fund. That's what's going to happen, is our ability to work outside of the funding model will be more and more limited each year because we can't use those siloed monies anywhere else.
So are you saying we might be cutting some of those positions?
This year, no.
But next year, possibly?
Maybe not even next year. But again, that's the position, is what they did is $125 million this year, $125 million next year. For us, next year, status quo. The increases we give this year have to be funded next year. That's not new money. That is just to maintain. The only way we'll be able to afford increases in salaries and insurance and any of the other utilities, supplies, is if there's a cost of living increase next year in addition to the $125 million. So our state made roads to improving teacher salary competition. By moving the average to $74,000, that is a positive move. But what they, I think, miscalculated is Utah's not sitting still. Utah's already talked about a 6% increase for their teachers. So we'll move up, but not
So will
significantly.
everybody else.
Everyone else is going to move up with us. The unknown, we're going out to bid here shortly with insurance. That unknown scares the heck out of me. We have to plan that we're going to be spending more money on health insurance. So that has to be available, even though we won't know how much that increase will be till after we negotiate. So, but we've considered all that, and we're still, I'm telling you, we're in a good place. But we can't sit on our laurels with our legislators and say that what they did is a good thing. You can't reduce classroom instruction and say it's a good thing. You can't reduce activities and say it's a good thing. And if they reduce activities and then said, okay, you can spend your money anywhere you choose, at least we could have managed that. But by hamstringing us with $18 million, we're going to manage the best we can this year and next year, but something needs to happen after that.
Well, and cutting classroom teachers is going to increase class size if it comes to that. And we
Most
have to
definitely.
do that. So
Yeah.
neither of those are good options.
Yeah. And that's what was crazy, and some of you were part of those discussions. When we told them before recalibration even began, don't mess with the model. Don't cut those class sizes because you don't understand. It's not the number of kids sitting in the classroom that you're cutting. You're cutting our funding resources in every category, and that's what they did. It just doesn't potentially reduce the number of classroom teachers we have. It reduces the number of groundskeepers, the number of secretaries, the number of administrators, all across the board. Like I said, we were fortunate to be in that group that the RCA increased us, or we would really be in trouble. So I'm telling you, we're okay. Our teachers and our staff are going to get raises. Healthcare will be managed and taken care of. Hopefully we can come up with something everyone will be excited with, but we need to be wary of the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Moving on here.
Moving on, we can move to the meet and confer date.
Members of the board, just kind of how meet and confer starts is you authorize that we begin the process. Typically, this is a week later. I was hoping that we could do it after we receive the bids, but the bids won't come in until the 22nd of May. We have so much after that, we need to get negotiations done on the 20th. So health insurance, even though it's still an unknown, will be a part of negotiations, as it always is. But Wednesday, the 20th, is when we'd like to hold negotiations. Just to let you know that we're going to start that process. Invite EEA to participate if you are okay with that. May. Yeah, 5:30, we usually have a quick dinner, and then we start negotiations at 6. Typically 4 or less help. If you would really like to, you can let me know now. We'll put you on a list and remind you. But it is after another board meeting, so we'll remind you next month.
What was that date?
20th. Wednesday the 20th. I think it's Wednesday, right? Yeah. That's it with that.
Okay. Okay, we can now move on to the discussion of the health insurance request proposal.
Trying to get to it. Well,
So you're just asking permission to...
Yeah, permission to go out to bid.
yeah, you should have had a chance to look at that packet. We recommend that you approve the packet, the RFP, the request proposals. It is really pretty open. It allows really any kind of insurance. Fully funded, self-funded, partially self-funded, those are what we're asking for. Any provider in Utah that serves Wyoming, any provider in Wyoming will look at anyone that puts the bid. This is by far the most open proposal because we've included self-funding. We haven't included that for 15, 20 years. So we recommend that this RFP go out. It'll go out tomorrow. They roughly have till the 22nd of May. We'll have a bid opening. Probably ask Mr. Hoffman to help John and I, and then we'll share it with the committee, make a recommendation to the board about the insurance package we go with. I'm kind of excited to see what's out there.
Yeah.
This is for next year.
Next year, starting September 1.
Is it all going through Hoffman, the RFPs?
So the RFPs will go out to whomever, and we're going to put it on different ways of advertising and things. Dan and Gibson are managing a list of the analysis of those things. They are only doing health insurance. We could have done all of it, but I thought we've got some cost
Savings, containment.
things with other things. Okay,
With-
take our winnings.
With dental and vision?
Yeah,
so-
life.
Yeah. So it's only that.
So we'll send them to specific individuals that have requested them, and then it's an open bid. You just have to request information. We put it in the paper here and in Salt Lake papers. And I think we do Wyoming Daily, too.
My question, though, is, so Cigna getting cost from Cigna, that would not be a partially funded or fully funded plan, that would just be enrolling in the state plan. So how do we get those numbers so we can compare?
They have an opportunity to bid, too.
They have, yeah.
That's a fully funded program. So fully funded, self-funded, all of them, any option. And we're interested to see what Cigna has to offer, because it would kind of simplify things, because that's what our reimbursement's based on.
Right.
Is that insurance.
But also, this is not the state's proposal. This upcoming year, the state is going to be asking us for our insurance information to bring everybody into their orbit. This is different. This is,
Right.
we still would, control. Because that's still up in the air on the legislative side.
If you want,
But we could still choose to
Yes, we could.
self-select into the state plan.
if,
And that's the number I want to see along with these RFP numbers.
if you want my opinion, I don't think the state will force us into any kind of health insurance. It was such a negative, the feedback was all negative. There was no positives. There's no positive reason to go to the state's plan. And one of the reasons, one of the reasons why they were pushing us that way is so they could get the ghost employees out. They've done that through legislation. They're no longer there. They're not going to care what insurance company we have.
But I think
So-
what she was asking was a comparison with that plan.
We can't force them to bid, but we're inviting them to bid.
Not for a fully funded plan, for enrolling in the state
Yeah.
insurance.
That's
pool, is
that's
what
a
I'm asking.
that's a fully funded insurance plan, which we're requesting bids for. Yeah, so it's anyone that offers insurance can bid on our insurance. Fully funded, self-funded, partially self-funded. So recommend later when you get to action items that you approve the RFP and we go out to bid.
Okay. Any other discussion with that at all? The RFP? Okay, we'll go to action item E, the climate survey through the state school board.
Yeah, so Wyoming State School Board Association, we're able to contract with them to administer the climate survey for staff, all staff employees. I think it would help to have a third party administer for the survey. We're looking at trying to increase employee satisfaction, and there's a lot of, I think it would benefit us to, and teachers to feel like this is coming from an outside, independent source. And my goal with doing this is to see an increase in staff participation. We have pretty low staff participation numbers in the survey. If moving it to a third party could help increase that participation, I think it's a win for us, especially if we're able to potentially reduce turnover. We're able to validate what we're doing as a district, what we're doing with HRS, by having a specific survey that's tailored to our district with specific questions that are getting the feedback and results that we want. So the cost would be $4,000 for them to administer it. Again, if we can retain one employee based on this, then we're saving money in the long run, is what I'm thinking. And proposing.
Do you have a copy of their survey, what they would entail?
I don't have the actual copy, but I do, so they have a list of standard questions, but then we're also able to add, change, make it our own in any way we want. So yeah, basically, once we contract with them, we can go through that process of identifying what are the questions we want to answer, have answered and have as part of the survey.
So we get the questions for $4,000.
Pretty expensive questions.
And we can tailor the questions
Yes.
that we already tailor.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, but the third-party administrator, I think, is important in increasing participation from
I
staff.
don't think it's going to increase participation.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead. Yeah, fine.
The principals that are in here, if it's okay for me to ask, and if you volunteer to respond, I would appreciate it, but if we did something like this, how much participation would it really increase with your staff at your schools? You know, because he was telling us, superintendent told us about 250 out of 600 plus that typically do it 33-40% every year. How much would that really increase if we did something like this, do you think? I know it's hypothetical.
Well, I think it could potentially increase things, but I think at the end of the day, people do what they want to do. If they don't want to fill out a survey, because it's 20 minutes, not going to do it. But I think potentially it could, more people could fill it out, knowing that there's an outside entity conducting it, and there would be a chance of any development.
I remember in Fort Riley, Kansas, I was in the 1st Infantry Division. We had a battalion command climate. It was actually a division command climate. We were ordered to do it. And there was a lot of us officers that were objected to that, but we had to because we were ordered to. So I mean, so I know that there's people out there that I ain't gonna fill it out because it ain't gonna make a hill of beans anyway. So I understand that as well.
No, like I said, even at the state level, it's done, and I think probably nationally it's going to be the same thing. I think we're going to see 40%, 35-40%.
Chairman Peterson, if I may, a little bit of history, why we ended up with this survey is probably in 2015, 2016, we were approached by a group, they wanted to do an independent survey. We ended up spending $15,000. The survey was sent to every home that have students in our district and every home in our community. Was sent to every employee. That's why it cost so much money. They mailed it. And I'm sure this one's not mailed or it would cost us more. The return on that investment was about 16% return of those surveys that were actually mailed to them.
Yeah, but that's a community survey, so you're
No,
gonna...
we sent it to our staff too. It was a staff
But
satisfaction.
that return rate is gonna be less because parents are gonna be busier in terms of returning. This will be specifically only for staff and employees.
Well, and again, that was the directive, is we don't want to spend $15,000. Let's come up with a survey that simply gives our employees a chance to comment on climate and to add concerns and also give us kudos. And they do both, because you've seen them. It's unfortunate that anyone thinks they can't trust their school board and their administration to do this without any kind of repercussions. I challenge you to find one person that there's been any negative repercussions. I understand maybe they say there would be, but we don't do that, and we wouldn't do that. I want to know what they're thinking, so I'm not going to be negative. But anyway, I'm open, we can do this. I don't mind, but again, this was a simple, quick satisfaction survey that we put to our staff. We've done it for a number of years, we have that data. It's always been extremely positive. The most positive year was the COVID years, but because of what the board committed to for our employees. But again, it's really what the board chooses. If they wanted to pay for the survey, we can get a good one. I like Wyoming school boards, and they'll be good. So whatever the board chooses on this.
Question? Dr. Ingalls, what do you think?
I like the idea of data that's longitudinal across time. I think it shows a difference. I just looked up quickly in my dissertation, because I was doing surveys and the work that I did there. The goal was 40%. That was good. That was significant, and that was good. And so if I got above 40% on my survey return, they were thrilled as a committee. And I just looked it up quick, ChatGPT glance. Again, take it for what ChatGPT is worth. I happen to read some of it's good, and they list the primary source here. The many fields report 30 to 60% as an average response rate, and that's a good response rate. Online surveys usually around 44%, and that's what we do, and we're getting about 44% of what we currently do with our staff. So when you look at large reviews, when you look at the chart, it says below 30% is weak, 30 to 50 is acceptable, and 50 to 70 is solid. I guess if you're going to go with something that's new, it'd be nice to get that data as a baseline this year, and then we have a transition into next year, and then you'd have at least 2 years worth of data at the end of next year, or 2 survey cycles that you've gone through. So I think I remember going through this whole process. I remember sitting in this room with, I'll bet there were 40 people here, teachers, administrators, the first time that we gave this survey. And we all came together, and we all sat down, and we looked at the results, and you know what the percentage we got that year? About 38% of the people who did that. And it was the first year of the survey, and it was almost like a double-blind situation where you couldn't. There was no way that you could check on who was doing that. But we reassured people of that, but you might have people who say, yeah, you do whatever you want, but I'm not putting my neck on the line with this. But we sat here, we came up with a lot of what we thought was good information that we shared out, and we started to lift up, and then we continued to move forward with it. So the consistency I like of what we currently have. I'm not opposed to saying, hey, let's, if you want to look at something else, I'm not opposed to that. I think I would just ask, what happens if this May we get 38%? Are we then going to say, because the reason is that we're going to this so we can get a higher percentage. What happens we give it in May? Are we going to continue to go down that road? My other question would be, if we're going to do a survey, let's pick our questions early and not change them every year. Well, we really want to find out about this. I would say let's be consistent on the questions that we're going to ask and move forward with that. Just off the cuff, thanks for asking my opinion.
I do think staff participation is a measurement of staff culture, right? We're talking about, you mentioned your employer, you're seeing 40%. My employer is 90% because of our staff culture. So
And
I do
what
think
size is your staff?
it's a smaller organization.
How
It's
small?
20 people.
20 people.
But I think what is what it's a testament to, though, is if there's a culture around these surveys, then you do see a higher response rate, and that's what I want to try and build.
And I agree. There's a level of that built into it. The principals also give a satisfaction survey every year at their building level. Steve, what percentage do you go to the teachers and staff? Rick, at the middle school, you guys 50, 60%. Anyone that gets less than that? Just curious.
So the premise here was that if we have a low response, we have a bad culture.
I think it's a warning sign that we should look at. Not a bad culture, but a culture that isn't prioritizing these feedback loops.
So is there a potential that there are people out there that are okay with the way things are running, so they don't feel a necessity to respond?
But that's when we want to encourage them to respond so that the feedback loop is comprehensive, right? Yeah, that's great. I want all of this feedback. I want every staff to participate, and I'm trying to eliminate as many barriers as possible so that we can get as close to that goal as possible.
But the main barrier, as we've discussed, has been, it's being given by the school district.
That's one barrier, and here's a solution for it.
Yeah.
I know it would take a little extra, John, I was visiting, go with the $4,000 survey and do this survey, both, and give people an opportunity to see what kind of percentage you get, see what kind of results you get out of that as well. It'd be nice to have some of that comparative information and data that we have. One's longitudinal again, and the other one is what you're looking for with trying to get more participation. Might also be the time of year. Maybe we give the survey in November.
September.
You give it in May. Is May a tough time for you guys? Just add something else to your plate. But maybe you send it out at 2 different times.
Yeah.
Just to
yeah. That's a great idea.
Tell them they don't get their last paycheck until they fill it out.
Then they know
Okay,
that
General.
we know that they didn't fill the survey.
That's one of the things.
Isn't that how you do it?
That's one of the things we've asked our principals is when they do their exit, when the staff turn in their keys, whatever. We don't think we do that anymore, but there usually is an exit interview at the end of the school year to encourage them to fill out the survey, and we've done that every year it's been offered, and still that's our rate. But the old adage, silence is acceptance.
Right.
If we did have a negative culture, I think it would show up on our numbers, because the 277 that would respond, you'd have a higher percentage that respond that climate was a factor. And right now, climate has been very positive for the years we've given. Extremely high, unheard of high. So, I don't know. Again, recollection of what we were in and what we went down in 2016 and 17, and direction from the board was to give our staff an opportunity to express concerns about what's happening in the district and to be able to voice so we could track climate. That's what we've done. If there are other concerns specific, then we should generate different questions. If that's the case, we need to go to a different survey. So, just so you know. And again, it's truly up to the board if they think that's information that we need. We use that information. You guys know that we review it at the retreat, and I cover it in the opening every year for the last 9 years. These are what you've said are concerns. These are the things you like. This is what we're doing differently based on our school improvement plan, based on that salary survey. And anyone who has not provided their feedback, that's on them, because they could have. They had an opportunity. And you guys have read some of the negative comments. We haven't taken them personally. We just take them and say, okay, there's maybe something behind it. What can we do? We show them to our principals, ask them, what are you going to do in your buildings to deal with these issues? And they come up with their building improvement plan. So it is an important part. The survey is an important part. I do like it as an exit survey. You could use this as an exit survey, and then at a different time of the year, do another survey too. But again, we tried to keep it simple because of the responses to the $15,000 was not positive.
Do you have to keep the questions like, what is your position? What school are you at?
We don't.
Okay, because
Right.
are you certified, uncertified, you know?
That is important.
Demographics. Every survey has demographics.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, do we have to have all of those? Are you elementary, middle school, would they have to?
Well, if you want to be able to drill down your data to find out, is this an elementary concern, middle school or secondary, you need some feedback where the comment came from.
Some kind of foundation.
Usually you could tell.
To me, the most frustrating thing that I've heard all night was when Dr. Ingalls and this isn't about you, this was just the phrase that you used, and it indicates an issue is when you said neck on the line. Because there is no neck on the line. I mean, when you're talking about filling out this survey, there is no neck on the line. It doesn't matter. You can put in there that Ryan Thomas is the suckiest superintendent that we have ever had.
Don't quote that one. That's one of the ones we've had.
Oh, sorry, let me pick a different one. No, anyway, the point is there's no neck on the line. It's just data that we use to operate with. And so that's frustrating if there are still people out there that think there's some kind of neck on the line for voicing an opinion when we're asking for input about, what's going on. Because there is no neck on the line.
How many people are not tenured every year? What's the percentage that's tenured?
What's tenured? Typically about 99.99% are tenured.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
there's
real
no neck on the line.
problem there. But before I stop talking, I want to give my opinion, and that is, given our current somewhat uncertain financial situation, I think right now, as a board, we need to be making sure that when we do expenditures, they're not something that's going to guarantee us a return. And I don't feel like this is one of those things that's going to be a guaranteed return. I think this is a maybe, let's spend the $4,000 and see what happens, and I'm not on board with that.
Carry on.
Okay.
Should we move on?
Yeah, we can move on, so. There's no other comments, we will go to public comments. I think we scared everybody off. Well, uh-oh. She was sitting in the back hiding. Everybody be careful, she's coming after us.
Everybody else left.
For the first part.
Sorry.
Should have been here earlier when we were talking about it.
Talk about that, yeah, Mr. Thomas. First of all, Wendy Schuler, 200 Liberty Avenue. Not all legislators hate activities. So you might want to say some.
Oh, yeah, I should,
Some
didn't I say some?
I thought you said all legislators hate activities. I just want to make that
I don't know if I
perfectly
heard that.
clear.
I think the
I
current-
love activity.
The current legislators came to that conclusion.
I think the mic was turned off when he was saying how much he
Oh, okay.
appreciated
No.
you.
No. Well, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I know that, a lot of data out here, and I appreciate John particularly, and also Superintendent Thomas. Poor John got stuck going to a lot of these recalibration meetings. I don't know if he went to all of them or not. Did you, John? Oh, poor man. If I hadn't been assigned, I might not have wanted to go. Put thousands of miles on my car this summer. And we had a lot of informal meetings before the formal meetings, where everybody kind of hashed things out. And those were pretty intense, I will tell you that, because a lot of us don't agree on a lot of things. And, I'm to the point now where I just, pretty much, maybe it's old age, but I'm calling people out now. On this recalibration committee, there were 12 of us, 8 Freedom Caucus members. I was the only public school teacher, one professor from UW, a nurse, and a computer guy from Jackson, who's the other Democrat. So we pretty much were outvoted on pretty much everything, the whole time. And, we tried to work, I tried to work with everybody. It's been very difficult the last 2 years, particularly in the House. You've probably noticed they have a majority over there, and I call them the No Freedom Caucus because they seem to want to take freedom away and, micromanage some things. And I'm not going to personally attack anybody, of course, but honestly, if we hadn't changed a lot of things, we changed in our January meeting quite a bit, because 4 of us said, we're not going to vote for this. And our 2 chairmen wanted so badly to have a 12-0 vote, so they could tell people, we're in agreement, it's a bipartisan, blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, I won't unless we can come to, give me a little bit, and then I'll vote for it. Because I knew that once it got to the Senate, that I could get enough votes on my committee, we could make a few changes, So finally, they did make some effort to move to the middle a little bit. And I will tell you this, my goal all along was to obviously try to get teacher salaries up where they needed to be, because as the superintendent has mentioned a number of times, we were losing ground to the states around us. So we needed to get that salary up. And we adjusted it twice. We bumped it up to 70,000, and then we finished up with 75,000. So that was, to me, that was a really good thing that we did. I did not ever get on board with the silos, not once. And what I tried to do was to get, I did try to get 2 people in the Senate to bring it up towards the end, but I wanted to get as much through our amendments in the Senate Chairman, the Senate Education Committee as we could. Because I knew if it got to the floor and we couldn't get what my committee had amended, then there was no sense trying to take the silos out. Plus, I kind of had an ulterior motive. I had talked to a couple House members who were very reasonable and very respected, and asked them if they would bring amendments to try to get rid of the 2 silos. We had a superintendent's silo, and we also had the instructional. And they did bring those amendments, didn't pass. And what I tried to tell those folks on the committee is, I understand, they kept saying, this is why we're doing it. But to me, it's like, well, this is one of the reasons. Some of our superintendents, when we voted on ECAs, they don't get the money to the teachers. And so I said, well, that's silly. That's like saying nobody gets playground duty because Johnny messed up in the classroom. Because we know that there are some superintendents that were getting the money where it needed to go. But some of them weren't. And that's part of the reason that the instructional silo thing happened, because not everybody was using the money what they felt like was wisely. So there's that. I think there's also a little bit of control. Some of these folks on that committee have a real thing about control. All you had to do was watch the Joint Appropriations Committee this year, and you could see there was some control from certain factions, mostly Freedom Caucus guys, and they wanted to control the budget top to bottom, made cuts that made no sense. I mean, let's cut 60 million from UW. And people ask why. Well, we want to get their attention. You don't just cut to be cutting. There's got to be a reason. And it made no sense. And so luckily we did some behind the scenes things again, which I hate to say we have to do that a lot, but we do. And we got at least 3 or 4, I call them fence jumpers, they used to just jump back and forth on votes. We kind of got them to sway over to one side so that we knew we could at least get a recalibration bill through, because we're required to. Statutorily, we're required to do that. We hadn't done it for 15 years, and with the lawsuit hanging over our heads, we knew we needed to get something done. And was it the best product? No. Did I like everything in it? No, absolutely not. We've already had one more informal meeting already, 31st, and we already talked about that a little bit. They don't want to hear it, but I said I'm already hearing things, in different school districts, because I not only talked to Superintendent Thomas, but I talked to, of course, the Lyman School District, the Mountain View School District. They have some of the same issues, of course. And, of course, the Freedom Caucus, their attitude is, hey, we gave you $250 million. Actually, I think it might be $275. But bottom line is, with the silo, it takes away control from your school boards. It takes control away from your administrators. Because in the past, you could use some of that money, to facilitate in different areas. Same with the health insurance with the ghost teachers. If someone didn't take the insurance, you could use that money that the state gave you anyway for other things. So there's lots of things that, I know how you move money around. I don't know how John does it, but I know that there's
None
a
of us
reason.
know how John
I know.
And we don't want to.
He's kind of a magic man, I got to tell you. But the bottom line is, we've already talked about it. I think there'll be some tweaks with what's happened this year. That's only if the elections go the way I hope they go.
Yeah.
If we elect a lot more of the Freedom Caucus folks, we're in trouble. And I was really planning on kind of going off into the sunset and being done with this thing this year. But I'm already hearing that there's 2 Freedom Caucus members that want to run for my Senate position. And I don't know, I may not even know who I am next year, but I'm going to step up and run again, because I can't allow some of these guys with their extremist views to go in and just start cutting all of our budgets and cutting people just for the heck of it. I know they think that there's a reason for this and that, whatever, but put the reason out there. It's the same thing with the health insurance. I kept asking questions. Why do you want to go to the state health insurance? Is it cheaper? They could never show me. I said, why would I vote for something that no one's shown me any data? So I said, so my last amendment on that bill was, let's get a study we were gonna give them $100,000, A and I to study and say, will we, if we can, save money? Okay. I still don't like the idea of making everybody go on one plan, because there's already 30,000 people on the state plan, and there's about 30,000 public school folks. So all of a sudden, you've got a plan with 60,000 people. Is it really gonna save us money or not? I don't know. And right now, we only have one company, as you mentioned before, that has been, the state's health provider. So I think they're so big that a lot of other health companies don't put a bid in. But my bottom line is, before you vote for something like that, get some data and find out if that's really the case. If we can save money, okay. No, I don't think anybody's opposed to saving some money, as long as it's good for everybody. But when you take choices away from your boards and your administrators, and which is what we've done, really, with the silos. We've given, as Superintendent Thomas mentioned, we've given more money for salaries. And again, we still have some more work to do. So we are going to work on food services, nutrition this year, SROs, computer science, and those kinds of things. We still have some work to do. But I do think there'll be some tweaks. But again, the elections are going to be so very, very important. So, and I'm not saying I'm not necessarily the right person, but I usually really try to bring some common sense, and I try to work with people on both sides of the aisle, because you have to, in order to get things done. So I'm happy to serve again if it happens, but I'd rather not, yeah. I'd really rather not. So if you know somebody else that wants to jump in, and there's somebody that might be, I don't know, Mr. Bennett, aren't you getting off the board? Maybe you should think about it.
Well, I'm too old. I could not take the travel that you take.
Yeah, there's a lot of travel. I'm sure I've aged 20 years in the last.
The question I have is, there's no other teachers that could be on that group in the legislature, or what? There's very few educated people.
I don't know if they really want a lot of public school teachers on there. 4 of those folks on that committee don't even have kids in the public schools.
Really?
They've either homeschooled them, or private schools, or charter. So, and that kind of tells you a lot. Which I'm not denigrating those at all, of course. Every parent should have the choice to take your kids to wherever you want for education. But yeah, I don't know, if I hadn't been the Senate Education Chairman, I don't know if I would have been put on the board. But anyway, I just want to let you know that I will continue to work with this recalibration committee this year, because we're going to tweak it, and I'm hoping that we can make some changes next year. If I'm back reelected, I'll work harder to try and get some more folks thinking, because I just don't think a lot of these guys really thought about the long-term repercussions. When you take a bunch of money and you silo it. I mean, some of them had some really good intentions. I don't want to, disparage them for that, but I think there's going to be some nightmares. Even though every district, for a while there, Natrona was going to lose money, but I think every district actually got more money by the time we ended. So, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Senator Schuler, have a couple of questions for you. There's going to be an election for superintendent of public instruction. Would you be in a position to help us decide who would be the best for that position?
Well, I know two of the people that are running right now, I do know. I would be very much supportive of one of them. The other one is Freedom Caucus, and I don't think I can support pretty much any of those guys, because unfortunately, they just see this narrow view, and they don't necessarily want to think about the whole big picture. So, but I can talk with you privately.
Yes, and that's fine, yeah.
Better not say anything on the
Is that signed by the governor, that position?
No, it's elected.
Oh, it's elected.
Yeah, it's elected.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Who's running? Do you know who's even running?
yeah, I do.
Who?
Tom Kelly and Chad Auer, A-U-E-R,
Yeah.
are the only two that I'm aware of right now. There might be some others.
There's a couple more.
There's a
I
couple
can't
more
remember their
since
names
then.
either.
Yeah, I haven't had time to really look and see, but anyway.
Well, and I haven't had a chance to personally thank you for inviting me to the Sunday outing that a couple of weeks ago for the gentleman that's running for governor, and I appreciate that. And hopefully that will come to fruition also. so.
Yeah, actually, I think there's 10 or 11 running for the House.
Yeah.
And I think there's one of those gentlemen that's coming to town tomorrow that I'm going to meet with. I want to try and meet as many of these folks as I can so I kind of get an idea.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want to, say yay or nay on some of them until I meet them and visit with them and talk to them.
Yeah, Wendy and I was in a meeting last week and looking at one of them. And,
Yeah.
and I appreciate her because she made the comment, I'm here, I've heard about this gentleman, I need to know more, I want to gain more, and that's the way you have to do it. I mean, we do too much name recognition.
True story.
And we never know about the candidate enough.
Yeah, exactly.
We pay a price for it.
Anyway, keep up the good work.
Thank
I
you.
think there's a lot of folks here in our community that appreciate all of you and.
Chairman Peterson, can I make a comment?
Yeah. No.
Winnie, I thank you for running again. That's probably the most important comment I could make. I thank you for doing that. And just one ask. Once we make the decision with our staff salaries, please represent that it wouldn't have taken a silo. We're still going to give as much money as possible to our employees. We could have given more, but we were restricted. So hopefully, everyone sees that we're making the effort, and I can't imagine every district is not, but we have the opportunity to make a significant difference because of what was done, and we will. But please take that back and say, this is what's happening in districts. We complained about teacher salaries, you've done something about it, but fix the other things and we'll be good. But
Absolutely.
just, again, and maybe it's a thank you for when we get to that point that you see, that we're doing for our staff. So
Happy
thank
to.
you.
Yep,
But
thanks.
we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Hang in there, Earl. It's a tough one.
My name is David Minton, 448 Smith Avenue. I'm a teacher at the high school. I teach science. I've taught at the middle school as well. I wasn't going to speak, but first let me preface by stating that I'm very fortunate with my job. I've always felt supported by Superintendent Thomas, Doug Rigby, my PLC partner, former Derek Hader, my principals, Scott Kohler, and Rick O'Driscoll as well. I am in agreement with what member Arch brought up about an anonymous survey. Anonymity allows teachers fear of repercussion. I personally don't fear repercussion. I feel I'm competent at my job, or Doug continues to tell me so. But I have spoken, and I'm also the EEA president. I should have stated that as well. I've had numerous members come and tell me that they would actually be more inclined to participate in surveys if they did not come from a school district employee. Like I said, I personally, I feel like I want to make my place of employment better, and I do that by participating in the survey. So I'm one of the 44% that participates in it, but I do know in speaking with members at the middle and the high school level that they feel that it's easy to track who they are. So when I was a newer teacher with Derek, one of the questions is, are you certified? Well, yeah, I'm certified. How long have you been in the district? Where do you teach? Okay, that pinpoints it directly to me. I never felt retribution or fear of retribution because I felt supported by Doug, by Derek, by my principals. But I do know that there are people, even though they are tenured, they still fear what could potentially happen to them. I'm not saying that anything would happen to them, but they still have that irrational fear that it would negatively impact their standings in the district, or that okay, they can pinpoint me because I've been a teacher for 40 plus years, and they could not necessarily fire me, but they could add more to my plate that would be detrimental to my position as an educator. So I personally feel like it's a valid request, and I feel like $4,000 in the grand scheme of things, yes, I know we're all pinching our pockets right now, but $4,000 in the grand scheme of things, I think is a valid price for giving teachers and all educators, whether that's an ESP, an educational support professional, or an educator who is certified, it gives them the opportunity to respond anonymously without having that potential fear. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Casey Harden, 3684 Almy Road 107. I didn't plan on talking either. But I did just want to mention a couple of things real quick. I know you're probably tired of hearing about softball, but a little background on me is I've been here for about 7 years now. I've coached these girls ever since I've been here in some capacity. The rec center's asked me to coach again, and just a little bit of history of the past few years, it's grown in the rec center. Every year I've coached. This year is no different. We usually sit, the last 2 or 3 years, we've sat about 3 teams worth. That's where we sit. A little over, a little under each year, but we sit about 3 teams every year. I hope it's pretty obvious why any high school girls weren't here. I mean, most of them probably don't see this coming during their time, so they're not going to come, you know. And why the majority of the ladies here were middle school age for that. So I guess I was trying to tell myself I was going to try to help you out, but I'm actually going to try to help me out, because I know when I go home tonight, I'm going to get an earful from my wife about this, and that the first thing she's going to tell me is the board is not going to make a decision, they're going to push it off, and we're not going to hear anything from it. The only thing I ask is I hope you make some kind of decision. I do know that participation-wise, that wouldn't be an issue. I think you'd have plenty of girls to make a couple teams. I don't have any issues with that. So if that was the reason, I personally wouldn't buy that, just from my history here of what I do at the rec center. Budget, totally understandable. Totally understandable if it's budget, especially what's coming down the pike here, okay? So I guess the only thing I'd ask was, I wish you would make a decision. I hope you do, and I hope you let people know what that is. Because I guarantee the water cooler out there, you guys couldn't see around the corner right there, but they stood out there for quite a bit of time talking. And I just know when I go home, it's going to be, I've got about a couple more hours on me, from this one. But it's going to be that, not making a decision. We want to hear something, okay? So just to let you know that real quick. Let's see, I guess the last thing I want to say is probably one thing about the surveys real quick. I've heard this several times since I've been in the district from different admin, about, it's on me if I don't fill out that survey. Okay? That's the term I heard tonight, but it's been several different other terms. But, it's my fault, if I don't fill that out. Retribution, stuff like that. All I gotta say is, you guys are in a position of power. I am not in a position of power. And so if I say something bad, it's just human nature that you're gonna think that something could happen. Okay? I really don't care to tell you what I think. Anybody can ask me, and I've probably said it before without being asked. But that's usually what I hear. I can name off several people right now that will not fill out that survey because of that. Okay? On the flip side, I'm not sure $15,000 is worth an extra 10% or 5% or whatever you get on it too. I'm not sure that's worth it, or whether you would even get it. But I do know that the fear of retribution is real. Okay? So I guess that's about all I had to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Casey.
Any other public comments? None? We can move on to our action items. So I need a motion to approve the EHS Classic trip request to the Nationals down in Florida.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion?
Yes,
Can't-
no,
Just one question.
Brian, Jessica.
Jessica.
Go ahead.
I know that they have not submitted the request for the regional. I know that. However, can we as a board pre-approve it, knowing that they're going to submit it anyway? That way they have the news for both activities at one time, and, you know what I mean? That's just a question.
I'm sure we can.
I wouldn't, but at the same time, I see it as a different request. Is really one of the issues, the reason why we have the policy we do is because of the expense and the liability issue. Because you are extending yourself in terms of a national trip, which, we cover all through the state of Wyoming, but those are expenses that you would typically wouldn't have. The expense here is for individuals. Is it a burden for those 22 individuals? It's got to be a burden for someone on that team. Now, they can start early, they can earn that money, but what we don't want to do is fundraisers in the community. That's also violation of board policy. So that's really why we have this procedure in place, is the cost to the individual. School time, of course. High school can't approve those dates because there are no dates. What they're looking at is that if there are any major tests that the kids would miss. We don't know because we don't have the dates. I don't think attendance at school for that group is a concern. But at the same time, are you going to hold the line if you get another group that comes that maybe you have a different concern about that? We can make that decision at the time, so.
That wasn't my question.
Yeah.
No, the question was, can we do it both at the same time? He's just explaining there are two different events that we should do it probably
I wouldn't,
separately.
that's my
That's was
response.
his recommendation, so, yeah,
Thanks, John.
yeah. Any other discussion?
If I may, Chairman, what I would do, though, is if you guys approve this tonight, I would just take the next trip that came through, met all the criteria, and just do it through the consent agenda. We wouldn't make them come back.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We need a motion to approve the personnel items that was discussed in the executive session earlier.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the personnel discussion.
Oh, I should I go down, because you've also got 3 approved certified staff contracts.
Yeah, I would separate them.
That's what I was going to say, that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
So,
What's the first one?
the first one is the resignations. And so how do you classify that one?
That's just, you're going to accept it or not?
You're going to accept it, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
accept the
So
resignation.
accept the resignation, there we go. Okay, I need a motion to approve the resignation as discussed earlier in the executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I'll approve that motion to accept the resignations as presented.
Second.
Got a motion, I have a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Do we have any contracts? We didn't have any contracts in there.
Yes, we do, a significant number.
Oh, okay,
So
that's
these
right,
would
yeah.
be the ones that are listed on that memo.
Okay, all right. I need a motion to approve the contracts that were identified.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second that motion.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. I need a motion to approve the certified staff contracts for 26-27.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the certified staff contracts for 26-27 for still.
I second.
Janice or me?
Yeah, just take a pick.
If everybody seconded, do we have to vote?
I don't think so. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. I need a motion to approve the permission to request proposals, RFP, for health insurance providers.
So moved.
I have a motion?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. I need a motion to approve bus lease early buyout.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second that motion.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. I need a motion to, the proposal to change from bus lease to bus purchase.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go with the proposal to, from bus lease to bus purchase.
Second. I got a motion, I have a second. Any discussion?
Yes, question. I just want to make sure I read it right. There's no penalty from CNN to do that.
No, there's no penalty, but there's also no advantage. You don't have we're not getting the payment, they're not taking the interest off.
No.
So really, this is, all it's doing is it's putting us in a position so that we get reimbursed in full. The state's doing it.
Which includes the interest from the state.
Yes, the state will reimburse us.
So we're seeing the $500,000 sooner than
Exactly.
split
Yeah.
later. And then the last one, is there any other transportation vehicles that, to be reimbursed, other than those buses?
These right here are what is kind of going on. You've got this schedule that I modified. There may be some additional discussion about, using cobbled money to buy additional vehicles, but we're not bringing any proposal this evening.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. I need a motion to approve the Davis Middle School roof financing agreement.
So moved.
Second that motion.
Do you have something to say, John? Oh, okay. It was looking like you were going to say something, so I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion?
Who came up with that plan?
Jaron-
To split it up over a couple of years?
Excuse me, Jaron Dennis presented this in his presentation. We were short money from the state, so the only way we'd get that money is to finance it over a period of years and then use major maintenance that comes in the future to pay off that debt. So really, it was the only way. Kind of crazy that they're not paying for the whole amount in 1 year. We have to cobble it together, but it allows us to actually get the work done now. So that was Mr. Dennis.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, I need a motion to approve the climate change survey as provided by the Wyoming State School Board.
So moved?
I have a motion?
I'll second it.
I have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Do I need to roll call?
I would.
Okay, roll call. Brian?
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
David?
Nay.
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 Nay. Nay.
Aye.
Caleb was a
Nay.
nay, and Janice was an aye.
6-3.
6-3.
Okay.
Defeated.
Okay. All righty, that is the last of the action items. We now move to our board roundtable. Any comments?
Well, that was quick.
That was quick. 2.5 hours, 3 hours. That wasn't quick. No, I do. And I want all these lovely young women that were in here earlier. I feel bad addressing them the way that I did. I just knew we needed to move on. So please don't take that personally the way that I handled it. I hope I didn't come across too rough. This is not easy. I wished I had $1 billion that I could hand out and just give to every program that is out there. This is a decision that is gut-wrenching because you want everybody to be happy and you don't want your kids to hurt. And I just, it's something we will discuss and we'll have to sit down and look at. But when you get hit with a $600,000 hit on your budget, it's not only whether you're going to add a program, it is whether you're going to be able to save existing programs.
Yeah.
That is what's tough. And like I said, we'll ask John to do some magic things and maybe take a look at it, but looking for an answer right now, I think it's a little tough till we find out exactly where we're at on things.
I had a question, and you closed it just before. If he came up with the money from that company, would we, you know, you
So
said...
that's what we would need to hear from John, is if legally we can do that, because yeah, that would be fantastic. But the other point that Dave brought up is what if they decide to pull their sponsorship, then we're stuck with
Yeah,
it.
you gotta do it. Gotta
And
be-
we won't know what type of a financial situation we might be in when they pull out.
What if you got the money up front?
For 10 years?
No, he said if he got the money...
I know, that's
I
what I'm
know,
saying.
but
But is it for
it
1
has
year
to
or
be
is it
for
10 years
long.
down
Well,
the
I think
road?
we'd need to ask that. I wondered if somebody came up with the money or if they fundraised for more than 1 year, is that a possibility?
Yeah, I don't know the answers to your question. There's, the one area that I haven't heard is, what is the capital situation in terms of location? I mean, are we putting it in the softball complex, you know, down across next to EMS? Are we talking about the baseball field?
At the high school.
And turning that into, because there are totally different things. If you're talking about field turf, you're talking about change in that, there's some, you know, you've got the American Legion that's gonna be going, wait a minute. So I don't even know what that is. So that's the area that I'm going,
Another
okay.
question, yes.
Let's put up a schedule. There's a capital component that hasn't even been addressed.
No, I know the expenditure of the facility, but the other thing is, are we going to be embattled by Title IX if we say we're going to go down to a public field to compete where we're not on our ground and in our field? Up front, everybody's going to say it's nice, warm, and fuzzy, that everything's good, you know, and then, you think you're fine with that? Okay, all right.
Chairman Peterson, I do think it would be wise if we provided them an answer.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a final, finality, because there are so many questions that need to be answered, and I don't know if they've been answered. So many questions that I have about unknowns, and one of them is, of course, we've already talked about these. The big question is, could we pull it off? And we're pretty amazing. We can do some amazing things, but can we maintain it at the level that we expect to maintain our activities, which would mean a dedicated field for our kids? Holy cow. Those go beyond. Even the weather comes back to that. And then how are we going to provide financing for all of that? And at this point in time where we are, we can't answer those questions. The board was never proposed a motion to add or not add softball. So in terms of your answer, you could provide an answer with 9 individuals, but you can't provide an answer from the school board. I could make a recommendation and you could respond to that recommendation. That was really my point. Financially, if it's going to be in the budget, you would have to put it on a proposal to look at this for the 2026-27 school year, or past that. And I think some of that is the conditions, is representative of the numbers to make this program work. They're not here yet. But that doesn't mean you close it off totally. Financially are too many questions. I think that answers the big question. But in terms of the big picture of what we offer and how we offer it, we don't do anything half-assed, pardon me. And we can't do this that way either. So that's the biggest question, is can we do everything? No, we can't. Is it obvious that providing activities for the youth is an important part of our instructional program? Yes, it is. But we provide activities for our youth. There are so many things that they can participate in already. 6-12, So we're not denying them that, because they can do other things, and they do other things. I mean, we have such a high percentage of participation already. Would I love to do it? But I just don't think financially we're in a position to say yes at this time for the 26-27 school year. If we get to the budget session in July and the board feels strongly about that, they do it the same way they did with the field house. Make a proposal, it goes on our strategic plan, and you begin looking at it. But this isn't a decision I think you can make in one night. Yes, we're going to do it. Yes, we're not going to do it. Because there's a lot of questions to be answered. But I do think they deserve a solid response as soon as possible. That this is what we're thinking, this is where we are with the timeline, and we'll have to see. Hopefully our enrollments don't continue to decline. We lost almost 80 kids in January.
Wow.
That's 80 times $16,000 that we lost.
Can't blame it on the weather.
No, we can't. Whoever in that group arranged the weather, we didn't keep them on that.
Yeah,
It was pretty good. Pretty good.
But I think it would be helpful if we like laid out every question that we have. What designated field are we going to have? How much is it going to cost to get their equipment and uniforms, and if they can have a outside sponsor that will fund that and what that looks like. I think we need to make a list of what all the questions are so that we can say, okay, this is the answer to this question.
That's what you would do if you prioritized it as part of your strategic plan. You would begin that process. And you'd begin examining it. But I just don't think there's any way you could pull it off for the 26-27 school year.
I don't think so either,
But you can continue to study it. I mean, that's the whole point, is we will study it. But again, who are you going to task for that? We already have so much to do. It's another thing. If you're going to move forward and you're interested, task us with it. But if you're not interested, you don't think it's going to happen, let's just don't do it to do it. Part of that is a budgetary question that will be answered in July. Then look at your strategic plan, put it in there, and decide what you're going to do, move forward, not move forward. You can answer them before that, especially with that kind of response, is we don't think this will happen in 26-27, but we are going to work on it. That'd be my recommendation, I guess. I mean, that's really what happened with soccer, kind of, we just looked at it, number of kids that are out there, obvious that we have kids to support it. And even that's a little of a question mark. We reduced the number of track kids at our middle schools, which may not be a bad thing. We added them to soccer, which is a good thing.
That
20
track meet at the high school with both middle schools.
20 heats of the 100.
My word.
But again, those are kind of the position. I just don't think you can answer them today.
No, I'm not saying today, but I'm saying I think we need to compile all of the concerns, what would be required of us to get figured out, and then come up with the answers to those questions.
At some point with these numbers that you saw, you're going to have to make some significantly hard decisions.
Oh, absolutely.
If we're not resourced for the staffing that we have, what do we do? Because not every year are they going to raise the average teacher salary $9,000.
No,
just not going to. I don't know if that helps anyone, but that's kind of where we are.
Well, that's where we're at. I think the biggest issue to start with is where are they going to play? You know, and we had Mr. Easterbrook come up last fall and give us a bid on what it would take to turf the field at the high school, where you could play girls softball, you could play Little League baseball, you could play Junior Legion baseball, and end up with a soccer field in the outfield. But it's still $1.6 million. That was last fall. This next fall, probably more than that. So I think that there is a way to approach that with the city, the rec district, the school district, if that's where it gets to figure out how to finance that. But that, to me, is the biggest obstacle. Yeah, and then if we could find a sponsor, that'd be great, that would commit to whatever, but I think the field is the biggest obstacle.
That would be the biggest expense.
Biggest expense and the biggest obstacle to overcome.
And I think we're 4 or 5 years into paying off the domes, right?
Yep. Yeah. Well, and then we still have to replace, at some point, the turf at the high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10, 12 years.
Anything else on the round table?
I move that we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. I have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We're not even going to discuss it. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Dave knows how to take an opportunity. Oh, I didn't feel that.
There was silence, that means we're done.
Oh, I love these forums.
Somebody's getting it up.
It's not the end.
But that's still.